I am new to the world of pattern writing, but today we are going to write my first crochet pattern. Hey friends, if you are new here, my name is Chris. I'm the maker behind the Enchanted Skein. I have a full-time job, a small crochet business, and I have been trying to share my journey on YouTube. And I decided last week when I was working on my snuggler/lovey week for my market prep to create my own pattern. I wanted to have a Frankenstein-themed lovey, and I couldn't really find a pattern online. I think I found one and I didn't really like the design. So I decided to just create one myself. At that point, I had only crocheted one snuggler/lovey so far, and I thought, you know what? Let's jump in. Let's do this. This is the little guy that I ended up creating. I had the thought in mind that I definitely wanted him to kind of have somewhat of a flat top head. I wanted his arms to kind of be sticking out, have his little neck bolts and all that good stuff. So classic knotted legs. While I was making him, I did write down what I was doing. I've gone back and looked at that since, and I definitely know there are some things that I missed and are in need of updating. I think maybe when I made some modifications, I forgot to update stitch counts and stuff like that, but neither here nor there, we'll figure it all out today. As I've mentioned, I have never done this before, but I'm thinking I'm going to break this into three main parts. The first one is going to be actually creating the pattern document itself. So for that, I'm going to be using Canva. And I'm going to film that in real time and essentially walk you through what I'm doing in Canva, how I'm using the tool, and how some of the tool works. So if that's something that you're already familiar with or not interested in, you can feel free to skip ahead. The second part is going to be me crocheting, because what I've got to do is follow the pattern I've written and try to create another one of these guys. I'll correct any errors that I have in the pattern as far as stitch counts or things I need to tweak. And during that process, I'll also take photos so that I have those for the pattern, as well as maybe some video clips in case there's any parts that I think might be a little bit more complex. And the third part is going to be kind of putting it all together. I will at that point hopefully have a pattern that is written out well and understandable, and I will need to incorporate that into the document that I designed in the first step. My guess is I'm probably not going to record all of that in one sitting, so you may see a couple of different hair colors along the way. Let's go ahead and jump into Canva and get started on the document design. All right, so now we are in the Canva interface, and I just used a simple presentation for this. Their presentations are usually set in the landscape mode. I wanted portraits, so I just went in here and resized, which you can do, to any size that you want. So this is just essentially like an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper in a way. The really cool thing about Canva is that you have control over a lot of things. So for example, if I wanted to make the background color of this a different color, I could do that. And what's really cool is if you look over here, I've got Enchanted Skein colors. So one of the things you can do in Canva is upload all of your branding. You can put in all of your brand colors, you can add your icons and logos and things like that. And then they're all in here as a resource for you to use in any of your designs. All right, I'm gonna go ahead. I don't need to change the color of that. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to add a bunch of pages here by just clicking down here to add. And the reason I'm doing that is because I am going to load a bunch of stuff in here. The way that I usually work if I'm creating something, even a presentation for work, is I will grab all of the elements that I think I might want to use, get them in here, and then we'll get them arranged a little later. So one of the first things that I wanted to show you, and you'll see up here, these are called frames. So you can click on frame or you can search for frame, and it's going to bring these up. And the ones that have this little kind of window here with the cloud and the background, these are all things that you can use to actually drop pictures into, and they'll take that shape. So just as a quick example, I'll drop a star in here, and you can go into uploads and upload all kind of photos, and we'll just throw this guy in, for example. And once they're in the shape, you can move them around however you want to, and so on and so forth. I'm not going to use a star for that, but just wanted to show you to get the idea. My thought is that I'll probably want to use either squares or rounded corner squares. When I think Frankenstein, I think squares. I like round because it's kind of, the skein and all that stuff. But I think for now, I'm just going to stick a rounded corner square in here, maybe stretch that out as like a cover page. And then I'm just going to put, I think, a couple of those in. They have some that have shadows behind them. That might be kind of cool, actually. These have frames, in a color and shadows. So when I look at the frame, I can actually change that color as well. So I can make that kind of my enchanted skein purple. So we'll do that. And that'll kind of be like the photos within the pattern itself. So I think that should work pretty good. I only need one in there, and then I'll just duplicate it as I move through the pattern. And one of the things I'm thinking for my patterns as a whole for Enchanted Skein are going to be that I want them all to be themed to kind of what the item is, but also have some cohesiveness across all of them. So things like when I put like who the pattern's by, that it's by Enchanted Skein. I want to have that in my font that I use for my company, which is called The Seasons. But when it comes to the actual name on the pattern or, you know, things like that, I want to cater that, all the little elements and things that are on the screen to the pattern itself. So I'm going to go to the cover page and I'm going to add some text. So you just click text, and that's going to bring you here where you can just click add a text box, or you can add one that's set up for the branding already. So this already has my font chosen. So I'm going to go pattern by Enchanted Skein. So whenever I put that on a pattern, I'm going to want that to always be that font. But I want to have a little bit more of a fun font for the Frankenstein or Frankenstein word. So let's bring that up, and you can come right up here and just pick other fonts. Now, I did go through this already and take a look at what I might want to use. And I thought this was kind of a cool one for, you know, for use for this pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in here, and we'll go Franken Skein. He'll be here. All right. And so that font is called Gulf's Display, in case you're looking for that. So now I want to go in here, and I'm actually going to take these two items, this one, and I'm going to copy them, and I'm going to put them over here, because what I'm thinking is I will probably use a smaller version of this for sections. So like if I'm going to talk about doing the head, when it comes to the actual text for the pattern itself, I don't want to use anything that's serifed. So actually I'm going to delete that. I'm going to add a text box here. And I am going to use I'm going to use a font called Avenir. This is a font that I think is under their premium, but I like it. It's super clean. So I'm just going to do an example of like Magic Circle 6. And I'm just going to put some stuff in here because I want to see that all of the shapes and things that I might use in a pattern look clear and are very legible, which they are. So that's probably the font that I'm going to use for the actual pattern detail. We'll just have that as a much smaller font size, more like a 12 for a normal size document. And then this will be probably more like an 18 for a header or something like that. So these are just placeholders to use a little later so that all of my fonts and everything are in one place. All right, let's get into the fun stuff, some graphics. So if you go over to Elements, you can search for all kinds of things in here, but we are going to search for Frankenstein, which actually comes up because I did search a little earlier, cheated a little bit to get ahead. And there's some really cool graphics in here. So I saw this one and immediately thought it would be awesome to maybe do something like this on the side of my pattern photo. And you can copy and paste things, super simple. And then you can click flip and flip them. So I could kind of put his photo in to something that has like the bolts on a Frankenstein. The other thing that's pretty cool about these graphics is some of them are customizable. So if I click this one, for example, let's see, yeah, this one's customizable. So, and the way you know that is by looking up here. So this is giving you the color palette of what is within this graphic, and you can change those to match your own company color palette, which is what I'm going to do right now. So I do have a purple, obviously, so I'm going to click on purple, and I'm going to pick my Enchanted Skein purple. For the green skin color, I'm going to choose the green that I have for my complementary color. I'm fine with the gray, and I think I want to outline this guy in, wrong one. I want to outline this guy in black, which right now they're using this dark green for. So swap that out. So really easy and simple. You can go ahead and change these graphics to suit your needs. You can also layer them. So if I wanted it to look maybe like this hand was holding up this photo, I can go ahead and select the photo, hit layer, and hit bring to front. And that might look kind of cool, you know, to make it look like the hand is holding the photo or whatever. We can get as creative as we want to be. But let's go ahead and load up some more elements. Go back to my search and see what we've got in here. So I really like these graphic hands, and I'll do the same thing with those as far as color. Let's see if there's any. That one's funny. I don't want to go too different on the types of graphics, so I want to keep. Oh, that's cool. I like this. We'll add maybe this to the photo here. I don't know. Something like that might be kind of cool. I don't know. I'll play with that. Oh, look, they've even got lettering. Yeah, so there's all kinds of different graphics. I don't want to keep you waiting through me scrolling through all of these, but you get the idea as far as Frankenstein goes. Let's go ahead and add a few more elements. I definitely know, oh, I like that even better. Let's see. So then I'll have the stitches across the photo. Oh, it's got the bolts too. Oh, that might not work. All right. I don't think that's going to work because the bolt placement's going to be low. I want that photo to be longer, but all right, let's go through and see. So like here's giving me some recommendations, and I think that's a really great idea. I'd like to put some bats in here. So we'll add a bat. That might be kind of cool here and there somewhere around the pattern. You know, you can do frames and things, but I don't want to go too crazy with the graphics because this one's got the stitches but doesn't have bolts. So let's do that. That's a little wider. Oops. And yeah, you can just drag and drop stuff, move stuff around. I'm going to put one of these stitches in here as something that I may want to use in the pattern decoration. And I do want to do, I had the thought of when I was writing the pattern down, I had the thought of where I want to talk about how to tie the knots because I get anal retentive about tying these things. That I'd use a photo or a picture of a Bride of Frankenstein and say like tying the knot. So let's go back and see what we can find if we search for Bride of Frankenstein. Okay. I want something that looks kind of cohesive. She's kind of cool, so we'll hold on to her for a minute. I don't think is she green? She's not green, right? She's just pale. These are super cartoony. Looks like they don't have a ton of Bride of Frankenstein, which is fine. Oh, that guy's kind of cute. I might stick him in here too. He doesn't match the color outfit that's going to be on our Frankenstein, so maybe I won't. All right. I think we probably have a good amount of graphics. I'm going to change these colors really quickly so that they are in the palette for Enchanted Skein. And that way I can just use them as I want to. And we'll be good to go. So I think we have some good graphics here for the Frankenstein piece of things. The other thing that I want to include in here is some graphics for things that I want to repeat across all of my patterns. So I talked about that consistency across all of those. And one of the things I was thinking was there's going to be times in a pattern where you want to call something out as like important. I want to be able to say like, you know, in this line of the pattern, there's a photo to reference and things like that. So I'm going to look for a couple of other items to use as little kind of icons. So let's look at some graphics. I think this is perfect because this is just a very simple, plain camera. And this is one that's customizable as well. So depending on what pattern I'm doing, I can choose different colors. So I'm going to make this one, Enchanted Skein purple for now. And let's see, the other graphic I'm thinking of is like, I don't know if important will pull it up or, oh, there's some. Okay, let's see. So that might be kind of cool. I don't know if I need 3 exclamation points. No, I don't. I think that's a little much. I wonder if I just search exclamation point. Ah, good. Okay, let's see. Is this? Yep, that's. Oh, I don't like the dots. Yeah, I don't like the dots on that one. Let's see. That's kind of interesting. That could be a maybe. Let's change the color on that. We'll put that in the maybe pile. Oh, I clicked recently used. Let's go back to our search results. Oh, that's actually pretty good. A circle with the exclamation point in it. I think that mirrors more along the lines of the camera. So yeah, I like that a little better. And actually, I'm gonna hit all of these and see if there's any that I like more. The triangle, oh, actually, here's just a nice straight exclamation point. Let's grab that one also. And maybe that stays red. Maybe that stays red because, it draws attention. So that's a maybe there. The other thing I want to do is if there is a video in the pattern for them to use, I want to have some kind of graphic there. So, oh, this is like a YouTube and I can customize it. So that's actually cool. So let's make that purple. So that might be cool to indicate, like, hey, there's a video here. So awesome. Okay. And I'm just trying to think, I'm going to search for lantern and see if anything comes up cool that's kind of Frankenstein looking, old timey. Oh, that could work. I don't know why I'm thinking, oh, maybe a candle. I don't know why that's coming to mind, but I'm just going to drop a couple things in here. And I'm going to go one more time and look for Frankenstein and just give one more pass in here to see if there's anything that I might want to include that I haven't already. I kind of like this guy. I already have so many of these hands, but let's go ahead and customize this one real quick so that it is fitting to our theme and our brand colors. And then go back to our search results one more time and just do a quick pass through. Spider web, maybe? Well, no, I don't think of spiders so much when I think of Frankenstein. So, well, that's a different hand. Okay. I know there's a million hands in here. So if I need to look for Frankenstein hand, then I can probably narrow that down and see. Actually, let's do that real quick just to see what's in here. Look at how many different ones there are. I like that one too. Got to grab the okay one. And I'll customize it in a minute, but let's see if there's anything else that jumps out. That's a zombie. Cool. I'm happy with that. Let's go ahead and set up a couple of pages that I know we're going to need. So I'm going to grab these 2 text elements here. And this page here is just going to be thrown away. It's just there to store some things that we're going to come back to later and use, in the pattern document itself, but not the actual page. So that's just for storage. But I'm going to put here. And down here, you can zoom in to see, things a little bit better and move around. But here, I'm going to do like abbreviations because I know I'm going to need to do that, SC is single crochet, all that good stuff that you see in a pattern. I'm going to need to do materials. Those are the only two I can think of off the top of my head. I'll add items to that after I'm done finalizing the pattern. The other thing I know that I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to do tester appreciation. So I am going to select these items, copy them and paste them here. And this might be tester appreciation. I'm so excited. I didn't think I would be here at this point so early on in doing this, but I could not be more excited about this. So this is always going to be like add handle. We'll go there. And then, maybe we'll have two like that. And you can also select things and you can align them. So you can say, align. These are apparently aligned already horizontally. That's why they don't show a change in alignment here. They're already perfectly aligned. If you wanted to switch it so that they are stacked up and down, left and right, you can do that as well. But these are already well aligned. These two are obviously not aligned. So if I select those, you'll see that when I go to align, I got middle there so that they're going to be on the same plane. And then this and this, I'm going to want to align the center of these. They're already aligned. That's great. These two obviously are not. So we'll go ahead and align those as well. And you can also group things. So if I was happy with the placement of this and I wanted to replicate that, I could group it if I wanted to create a group and move it all at once every time. So we'll just go ahead and do that. And then I'll copy and paste that. We'll scroll down, put some more here. And I don't know, can I fit a third one? Maybe if I scoot this one up, this one up. Yeah, I'll probably play with that a little more. I don't even know if I'll have 6 people test. I don't know how many people I'm going to have that might want to test. I'm quite unknown in the crochet world, but I do have a couple crochet friends now, which is totally awesome. So I'll probably ask them to test as well. So, all right. Yeah, I think we have a pretty good starting point here. I'm going to go ahead and move this page over here just by dragging and dropping and make this kind of my starter page because I know, oops, I did not copy something new. We'll go over here, paste these in because I know I am going to end up starting with the head. We are going to move into the body. My guess is going to be legs will be on another page. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate that page by just clicking on the 3 dots and hitting duplicate. So now I have this page and now I have this page. And I'm going to actually make this say legs here. After we do the legs, we're going to do tying the knot in the legs, and then the bolts of the neck are probably going to be the next thing that we would do. Some of this might need to go onto another page, and that's fine. I'm just kind of talking myself through the different parts. And I'm going to want to have, so I'm going to duplicate this page as well. And I'm actually going to take the bolts off of here. Actually, take that back. Take the bolts off of the second page. Leave the bolts on this page because I think what I'm going to do now that I'm looking down at him is stitches, scars. What do I want to call that? I think I'm going to call them scars, but basically these little stitch lines. I'm not going to give instruction for how to do those necessarily. I'm just going to write a little snippet of, you can do some embroidery of that. But in the page where we have the body, I'm going to want to mention, because I don't think I wrote that down anywhere, when to add eyes or embroider. That's just a note for myself because I don't think I put anywhere in my pattern, if you were actually wanting to use safety eyes, where you would kind of put those in before you stuff the head and stuff like that. So I just want to indicate that as well. Yeah, I think that covers everything as far as the setup of our document. So what I am going to do is set up a little bit different of a filming structure so that I can go ahead and start crocheting this guy, following my pattern, make any tweaks I need to make, and I will circle back with you. All right, so let's get part 3 of this process going. So I did some of the prep work off screen because obviously I don't want to share the pattern on screen just yet. It's something I'm hoping to sell. So I ended up placing the pattern on the different pages so that I would know what parts go on what page, putting some of the different design elements and icons and things on the page so that they're there, and little placeholders for the photos. What we're going to do right now is we're going to jump into Canva, and I'm going to show you a little bit about adding the photos to the pattern as well as some of the other elements that I want to put together so that we're at a point where I can hopefully put this out for a tester call. All right, so we're back in Canva, and one thing you might notice is I added this little fun element. I decided that for every pattern that I do, I want to put something that is representative of Enchanted Skein on it, which would be these little 4-point stars, and do that's applicable to the theme that we're doing. So this was just a Halloween stars, what I searched for in Canva, and that's what I got. So I added that on to the cover of my page here. In my second page, I've got all of the abbreviations that we need to work on. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. I added this little element, which I'm going to send to the back, but this is just to make sure that I'm aligning everything properly on every page. So, okay, it is in the back. So what I did was I just added 2 lines and I copied and pasted that across all of the pages so that I could keep structure when I was adding the text in. So it just helps me keep everything aligned. So obviously we have a magic circle. I'm going to just go through and add some of these here. I have some icons. So there's a part where I indicate repeating a step. This is where a photo is available for reference, a video being available. If I put a note in the pattern, that's something to just kind of call out. Then I have it on this little sticky note type of thing. Materials, I've got that I use the following yarns. Feel free to use whatever yarn you want. I'm going to go through today and add in the actual names of these. I've got to confirm if some were Bernat blanket or Bernat baby blanket, but I'll indicate that as well. And then using some cotton or acrylic for the embroidery of the eyes. I used a 6.5 5mm hook. If they choose a different yarn, I'm just indicating that they can use whatever, hook is applicable to their yarn size. I use locking stitch markers. There's one part of the pattern when we're splitting for the legs where I'm letting them know to kind of lock their stitch marker because it'll fall out if you're not careful. Scissors, yarn needle, obviously. I want to put in some kind of use statement here. So, kind of a, feel free to sell your items that you make with this pattern, but don't redistribute the pattern, that sort of thing. And then I just added the colors of the yarn. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this here or not yet. I'm going to play a little bit with that. But once I put the names of the yarns in, I might just shrink these down and put them next to it just to have a little something fun on the page as well. But if it looks too cumbersome, then I'll take that out. Then I've got pattern notes, and in here is where we'll start with kind of our first photo being inserted into Canva. What I've done is pre-uploaded all of my photos to Canva. So if you go to your uploads, you can just upload all of the images that you want to have on here. And I wanted to kind of show the back third loop of a stitch. I'm not sure if this photo is going to be great, so we're going to try it and see how that looks. Oops. I'm going to just take that photo and drag it over, and then it will automatically crop it into that shape that I already have. So I'm going to double click on this so that I can make the photo zoomed in a little more in the cropping. And I'm noticing that that is not the clearest image because I used black yarn, obviously. So what I'll probably do is take another photo and stick that in there. So I am going to just remove that from here. That's not one that we're going to use. I indicate that doing color changes, they can do them however they want. I like to do it in the final stitch of the round prior. And then that there are stitch changes. So I'm letting the user of the pattern know that they need to keep an eye out because I do go from single crochet to half double crochet or vice versa. And, sometimes they overlap depending on what shape I'm trying to achieve. So I just want to make sure that they're aware of that. I'm going to put a little contact me section here where I'll have my email address if they need any help with the pattern and so forth. All right. Now this is the page where I have the instructions on the head. And I'm going to be showing them what a 4 incomplete bobble and a 5 incomplete bobble look like on this piece of the pattern. So we'll drag and drop this photo here. And a 4 incomplete bobble will leave you with 5 loops on your hook, which is what I will indicate in the actual written part. And then a 5 incomplete bobble will leave you with a 6 count of loops on your hook. So that's just kind of what I'm trying to show them there. And you'll notice, like I said earlier, I have a little note for them. So like if they wish to maintain an even flatter top, they could put a little cardboard disc in the top of his head to keep that straight. All right, so next up is the shirt. This is where I'm telling them that they will start their shirt in the back third loop of the half double crochet. So I did take a photo of that for them, and I think that's probably going to be clearer because it's in a lighter yarn color. And what I'll probably do is add an arrow so that they can see that a little easier. So let's do that. So let's see. That's pretty defined because you have the front stitch and then you have that third back loop. So let's go through here and look for an arrow. Graphics, not shapes then. I like that style. We'll make that red. And we'll rotate it, shrink it down to size, do something like that. It's a little hard to see. I'm debating. I might go back and put something a little bit different that points that out, maybe even a graphic, but that's okay. Here I wanted to kind of show the difference between what the line of the shirt looks like when you have the use of the back third loop versus a regular crochet, but I have not done that yet in the pattern so that I can show the difference. So I'm going to whip up a little sample of that and put that photo in there. All right, and here I'm getting into doing the pants and preparing for splitting of the legs. So for that, I created a little diagram that I want to add to this. And this is kind of showing them where to put their stitch markers. So let's add that here now that that's done. Yes, I think that's pretty good. So I'm just kind of showing them that when they're folding their piece in half, they're putting stitch markers in the center stitches, and then we're going to do some joining of the legs to get them started there. So, and then I actually created yesterday a sample of that. I need to refilm the joining of the legs, the little tutorial for that, because the yarn that I was using on the Frankenskein when I was actually crocheting it according to my pattern and taking the photos and video was too dark. So you can't really see it as well in the video as I would have liked. So I'm going to refilm that after I'm done filming this portion of the video. All right. And then here is going to be a link to that leg tutorial video. So after I refilm that, I'm going to upload that to YouTube in a state where if someone has a link, they can click to it and view it. But it's not something that if you go to my channel and you pull up the videos that you would find in the video listings. And here I've got the page where I'm talking about tying the knot. And I have some photos for that. So let's see. I'm going to rotate this real quick. No, wrong thing. Put that in here. We'll rotate it 180. And then, yeah, I wanted to show the way that I tie the knot because I'm very anal retentive. They certainly don't have to do this. They could tie the knot however they want to, but I like to make sure that there's symmetry so that the legs go from outside in and through the hole. And then that way you can kind of see the knot on the front, which is what I wanted to show. And I just forgot to update the name of these photos. I'm going to adjust this so that this is centered. I will do some of that cleanup, off camera, but those are the few little tidying up things that are left to be done. I want to rotate this one as well. So 180, and then this is essentially the finished knots. Cool. So we'll center this. I'll change the alignment to centered. And what's great about Canva is as you move these things, it'll just tell you if it's aligned to, the center of the object above it or any corresponding objects. And then I actually have a knot video where I show that kind of symmetrical way of tying it. It can get a little confusing with the left to right kind of thing. I mean, it's not necessarily to everyone, but it's just something that's, if it's helpful, then I want them to have the video. And then I'm just making that note of feel free to tie it however you really like to. It doesn't have to be this way. This is just how I do it. By the way, on the page, I called it tying the knot, and I said, no, not that knot, the leg knot, and put Bride of Frankenstein there. Get it? Gotta make yourself laugh. All right, now we go to the arms, where I'm showing how they do the arms. So, I actually I took a few photos of the arms, but I don't think I need to show them what the arms look like just laying there because they don't need that. I do want to show how I kind of sew them towards the front of the Frankenskein to make them stand out. It's not something that they have to do by any means. It's just the way that I'm doing it. So I kind of wanted them to see what that was like. So that it's kind of standing out to the front. So that's that picture there. And that's the arm sewn to the front to stand out. I might rename that or reword that. Yeah, because here I'm telling them, where to put it and why I do it the way I do. Slightly in a little bit, it's going to stand out forward, or you can just do it on the side like a classic, snuggler. So I'm just letting them know that here. And then here we're going to the bolts. So doing the bolts on the side of the neck, which I have a photo for as well. Again, I don't know why all of these came in kind of upside down. I think it's the way I had the phone positioned, but let's get this moved here. So this is kind of just how I'm starting the bolt. And then embroidery of the eyes and the mouth. And then his little scars, which I don't know if I took a photo of now that I think about that. I did not. So I'll take a photo of his scars as well when I film the joining of the legs. And then last but not least, what I need to do is take a photo of the finished Frankenstein. I did that when I created it, but I did it, kind of as an overhead, just sitting on the desk, and I don't like how it looks. I want to take it out in natural sunlight. Maybe put him in a tree or something. I don't know, something where he looks kind of cool, take some good photos of him. And I will have those photos, one for the front and then one for the like, hey, congratulations on creating your Frankenstein. And then I have these pages for tester appreciation. So I put a monstrous thanks to these amazing artists. This was my first pattern design and they could not have been more gracious. Please go give them a follow. If they're not gracious, I'll take that part out. But obviously I don't know who those people are yet or anything, but this is just kind of a setup / placeholder for, what I'm thinking it'll look like once I do have photos back from the pattern testers of their completed Frankensteins. So yeah, I think we are at a really good point here. There's still a lot to do. The big things are I need to refilm and rephotograph a few things. This is just part of the learning process. They looked pretty clear to me in that moment, but as I put it in here and start looking at if I was a user of this pattern, would that be clear? I don't think all of them are. So I am going to take some more focused, enhanced photos that I think are going to be helpful to the user of the pattern. Get those added in. I have to make some final tweaks, upload my videos to YouTube so that I can embed those links in here. And then we are ready to put out a tester call. So as of filming this, what is today's date? Today is July 13th. My goal is to have the pattern 100% complete by the end of this month so that I put the pattern tester call out like the first week of August. I think that gives me enough time to do a really quality job of the things that I have left to do. I also need to figure out how to share this pattern on Canva in a way that people can put comments in but not make any edits, so that's the way I'm going to put out to the pattern testers. I'll also look at how that's going to work on Instagram. I've never created a group chat for, like pattern testers. I'm assuming it's pretty simple, just like a regular chat. You just add more people. But I need to do that. And then, put out the actual pattern tester call. So, again, I want to use some of those photos of the natural lighting in that and be able to put that as the photos for the pattern tester call. And then see how many people I get to apply for pattern testing. There is a particular person, I'm not going to name names because I don't want to put any pressure, or if they're not able to, or they just don't want to throw any shade, but there's someone who I admire greatly on YouTube who to me is considered the absolute, snuggler / lovey queen. I am actually going to DM her. I'm going to slide into her DMs, as they say, on Instagram. And I'm going to ask her if she's willing to test this pattern for me, because her opinion would be something that I would really treasure in this first pattern of mine. And then obviously put the call out there. There's a couple of folks who have mentioned in the comments of my last few videos that they would be interested in pattern testing, so they are guaranteed in. And yeah, I mean, I don't know how many people I will put out there. I'll see how many I get. I don't know how many I'll get. This is my first time, so we'll see how many, and what happens there. I don't want too many, just because I think it would just overwhelm me, but I'm hoping that's the good problem to have. So that is essentially it for me in creating my first pattern. I hope this video was helpful. I've learned a lot even just in doing all of this whole process. This is a lot more work than I realized, and I may have added elements and things and done a few things that are a little different that I didn't have to do, but I like them. I think people appreciate them. I know that I like patterns that are fun to look at. Yes, I will do also a printable version of this pattern so that if it's something that someone just wants to print, it's not going to have all the doodads and everything on it. But it's a lot of work, and it really made me appreciate even more these patterns that I purchase. I think sometimes we forget how much work goes into something. We're looking for the deal, $9 for that pattern. There's one over here for $5 or whatever it may be. But it's really given me a greater appreciation for the work that goes into pattern making. So if you have put a pattern out there for free, bless you, because man, that's a lot of work in itself in general. Even those might be simpler, but that's still a good bit of work. So to put your work out there for free is greatly appreciated. I'm going to look to think of some ideas for something I can put out there to give back to the community as well. And then, make sure you're charging right for your patterns, because this, again, it's a lot of work. So yeah, those are my lessons learned. Again, I hope that helps. If you've made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. If you have any feedback on any of this, please do leave it in the comments. I'm hoping to get this video out a few weeks before the pattern test goes live. So any feedback that you have to offer, I really would greatly appreciate it, because that'll give me enough time to make some changes before I put this in the hands of people who are going to spend their valuable time testing it out for me. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.